Hey friends, this is Dolynny TV. Glad to have you aboard here today. It is Tuesday. As I was promising this morning, we'd have some bigger news to get to now that Labor Day is up and done across the NHL. Players are back with their teams, and obviously things are getting underway with captain skates and other activities across the NHL. So looking forward to covering all that today with you. Some huge news from Frank Saravelli to come, and I will tell you, either skip ahead or stay tuned for potentially my best graphic I have ever made. It is absolutely unreal, maybe in reference to that guy up there. Okay, let's go. What we need to know right now is if you are new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button here on Dolynny TV. Now take the rest of the video. You don't have to do it right now. Love if you could. And if you could also leave a like on today's video because you're excited to have the Edmonton Oilers and the news and the whole thing works back. Let's get to it, okay? Let's waste no time. What we know today is Jeff Jackson was on 880 Ched's Oilers Now talking about Connor McDavid's contract. As far as I can find everything, I was not able to listen to the interview today live, but every quote I can find, there is no Connor has signed for 16 million times 4. There's none of that. What there is, Brendan Escott clipping a quote for us here. Brendan Escott, by the way, your new host of the pre- and post-game show on Oilers Radio Network. I think that once McDavid's ready to talk and knows exactly what he'd like to do, that it won't be a long process. That, of course, we understand from a fan perspective has been our MO all summer long, pretty much since before the playoffs got underway. Now, the update from Jeff Jackson is the secondary quote, which again, we've pretty much figured, but to hear official confirmation from the big guy in the big chair in the Oilers organization, let's go. It's not a drawn-out negotiation where we're haggling. It'll be, okay, that's good to us. Oh, let's paper it. And what we need to know there, I said this today on a phone call with Gillis TV, is simply for the Oilers, whatever they do with Connor, that's fine. We just need to take care of ourselves and we're good. Now, Connor needs to take care of himself, and the problem is here twofold. Connor goes short term. You know, everybody's already accusing him of chasing the bag and making too much money and all this. That's fine and dandy. Your opinions aside, I don't care. But you go 4 years. In a world where 4 years from now, the cap is supposed to be absolutely ludicrous and players will be making $22, $25 million a season, well, kind of what Connor's lining himself up to do if he goes at 4 years. So all of a sudden, you've had a discourse around this team where Connor's chasing the bag this summer and whatever excuse you want to throw at the wall there. Well, if he does 4 years, that only intensifies right out of the gate. It'll be how much he got paid now and how much is he going to get paid in 4 years. Again, the discussion about him leaving, I don't really care to entertain. I just care to talk about the money chasing. So that's the one part. Does Connor want to be framed as that guy? I don't know. Probably not. Connor's a pretty reserved guy. Then you've got the 8-year deal, which is the reverse of that. English ain't my major, I'll tell you that. But basically you got a situation where Connor goes 8 years, and now you're not only talking 4 years from now, you're talking, let's go to year 7 and 8 of the deal. Where, yes, you know what? Basically, if Connor signs an 8-year deal for today's dollars and the cap goes crazy over the next 8, basically he's pulled a Sidney Crosby by about year 5. I get it. I understand it, and it all makes sense in tomorrow year dollars. But for Connor, trying to take care of himself, which has been preached as kind of the whole messaging why this has taken so long from an Oilers standpoint, is if Connor ends up taking the 8 years and today dollars at $16-17 million and he leaves money on the table and goes maybe even down to 15 or 15 and a half by year 8, that is such a steal. And I understand it's Connor McDavid at, I guess, 37 years old at that point, but you've failed the mission in taking care of yourself, because again, as you and I both very well know, our dollars don't mean much that we earn nowadays. And you know what? Even millions of dollars don't mean, you know, if you won a $15 million jackpot on the Lotto 649 in 2001, it meant a hell of a lot more back then than it does in 2025. We all can understand and agree to that. So for Connor, signing a $15 million deal, $16 million deal in 2025, and expecting that $16 million to mean the exact same in 2035, no. So that's where I say it would turn out like a Sidney Crosby deal for us. Absolutely awesome. Let's go. But for Connor taking care of himself, it's not exactly the best. So that 4-year deal, I think that's why that exists. So from an Oilers perspective, at least we have Jeff Jackson being reasonable and saying, hey, dude, whatever you want, it's all good. Everything's on the table. You tell us, we'll get it done. Great. Hell, 1 year is probably even on the table if we want to go that far. So discuss as you will. All right, so to the next news of the day, the CBA rollout. This was a pretty important breaking news segment of the day. Kind of one of the major stories of probably the month it'll be. Basically, the new playoff salary cap system will come into effect this year for the 2026 Stanley Cup playoffs. I would try and explain this. I will tell you, I would try and explain this. Anybody, and I want you to look at me for this, anybody that understands how this channel operates and has watched me try to figure out the salary cap, the CBA, how call-ups, send-downs, all that work on an ad hoc basis, going to work for 8 hours a day and coming home and reading what other people interpret, and then the next day it all changes, I ain't even going to try in the least to explain any of how any of that impacts anything, other than to say my tongue-in-cheek joke earlier today saying the Oilers will be your 2026 Stanley Cup champion, pending obviously winning the cup, and that source there for Frank Saravelli being right, because again, the American teams doing the LTIR manipulation to get their studs in the lineup game one for playoffs, that's gone. That's done. Simply because, as everybody will point out on Oilers Twitter today, the fact that the Oilers did that last year and Gary Bettman said no thank you. Now again, I'm a Sour Grapes Oilers fan. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but yeah, sentiment is, right? So the update though from Frank Saravelli is that players will have until September 15th, 2026 to sign deals with current structures. So, you know, everything that is what it is today in terms of contracts stays the same. All deals signed after the 16th of September next year will be subject to the new CBA, and changes to player dress code and ability to endorse wine spirits begins immediately. So Connor McDavid, you know, man, if he drinks, I don't know, Jim Beam, he can tell you to drink Jim Beam. Not that I'm going to tell you to drink Jim Beam, because I'm going to tell you 5 years sober here, it's a good time. It's legit. Enjoy life sober. Hey, high on life's a good time. All right. Anyway, captain skates. What do we need to know there? Let's maybe move forward. There were some guys there today, some new faces in the pictures. Obviously, no real big news, anything that I've heard anyway. This was interesting. This was pointed out to me by my Bakersfield contact, simply saying that if you actually go on the pictures on Instagram, because they're all in 4K there, and you zoom in on the glove there for this new gentleman joining the Oilers. Again, I don't even know how to pronounce his last name. I need to hear Bob Stauffer and Cam Moon get it in action here in the preseason, then we'll worry about it. But that's a Sam Gagner glove in action right there. So Papa Oiler still doing his thing, taking care of the Oilers here in the preseason captain skates. Now, I promised you an absolute classic about James Hamblin today. So we got a picture. We've known James Hamblin obviously hangs around Edmonton most of the year, but spends most of the time in Bakersfield in the wintertime. James Hamblin hanging out at practice in, captain skates, whatever, in Edmonton. Good to see him. Obviously looking good, looking excited for a new year. Beard's already in good shape, so that's all good. And I thought you guys would really enjoy that graphic. I won't explain why, but we're all a big fan of a good joke once in a while. So appreciate you being along for the ride here today, and obviously a good day to have news on the Oilers, the NHL, and we're back to action. It's September 2nd, and it ain't going to slow down from here. Oh boy, I'm loving it. We got the Olympics this year, got the World Juniors coming up. I've done some changes to secure that a little bit easier, and of course, hopefully some World Championship action, and not to forget a Stanley Cup for the Edmonton Oilers in 2026. Friends, for right now though, I'm up on out of here. Have yourself a great night, and don't forget to like the video on the way out. Thanks for your support.